In this video, I'll be covering question 5, part B from the 2023 AP Calculus AB Free Response No Calculator Allowed portion of the exam. I cover parts A, B, C, and D all in their own individual videos, so if you want to see my other solutions, please check out my other videos. Okay, so looking at 5b here, they're telling us that k is this differentiable function such that the derivative of k equals this equation here. Then they want to know, is the graph of k concave up or concave down at this specific point at x equals 4. When we're talking about concavity, concavity is a second derivative game. So in order to find out if something is concave up or concave down, we're going to need to plug a value into the second derivative. If your second derivative value comes out as a positive number, well, then that tells you that the graph is concave up like a cup at that point. If your second derivative comes out as a negative number, then that tells you that your graph is concave down like a frown. So what we need to do on this problem is we need to go find out what is happening at the second derivative, k double prime, of the x value we're talking about here, 4. We need to know, is that value positive or negative? And then from there, we can tell them if it's concave up or concave down. Well, in order to do that, guess what we're going to have to do? We're given k prime of x, not k double prime, so we're going to need to go find the derivative of our derivative in order to find our second derivative. To find the derivative of this, we have two things being multiplied right now. So whenever you've got two things being multiplied, that's when you want to apply the product rule. My product rule recipe goes fg prime plus gf prime. You should have a rule that, something you can just spew out of your head in 2 seconds for your product quotient chain rules. This is my recipe for the product rule. So I come through and I would label that first chunk the f piece, the second chunk the g piece, and then I break them out into their bite-sized little math problems. So f is really f of x squared, g is really g of x. And now I need to go find my f prime value and I need to go find my g prime value to be able to put together my product rule. So coming back now and looking at just f here, that is a function inside another function. That's a classic chain rule setup. And so to find f prime, we're going to need to apply the chain rule. My chain rule recipe, my chain rule saying goes d in times d out. I take the derivative of whatever is inside those parentheses and then multiply it by the derivative of the out. So here the inside piece is f of x. So the derivative of the in, the dn, this is just a notation game. This would be f prime of x. Then multiplying that by the derivative of the outside piece is just a giant power rule. I'm going to bring that 2 down in front. I leave alone all the stuff on the inside I already took the derivative of. And then technically you'd subtract 1 from the power, and that would be to the first. You don't really need to write it, but just to sort of show that it was there. Now we go and take the derivative of g. Much easier. The derivative of g of x is just a notation game. That would be g prime of x. So now that we have, I just refer to these pieces here. These are what I refer to as the ingredients. We just need to follow our product rule recipe to get out our second derivative. So our k double prime of x is going to equal, first go grab f. So that's just going to be our f of x squared. Multiply that by g prime, so that's going to be g prime of x, plus go grab the g piece, that's going to be g of x, and then we're going to multiply that by f prime, our derivative here. So this would be f prime of x times 2 times f of x. So now we've got our second derivative, and we need to figure out what its value is at x equals 4. So we'll come in now, and we will plug in 4 for x. So function notation always works the same. Whatever I replace x with here, you replace every x with the same value in the equation. So this will be f of 4 squared times g prime of 4 plus g of 4 times f prime of 4 times 2 times f of 4. And now we'll just keep working our way through this to figure out what this value is, and we'll be using that table up above to kind of work through all of these different values. So working our way left to right, f of 4 right here. So looking at 4 and finding the f of x value, that's going to give us 4. So that's 4 squared. G prime of 4, again, we know where 4 is. The G prime value would be here at 2. Plus G of 4, that would be negative 3. So the G value at 4 is negative 3. Times f prime of 4. So f prime times 3 times 2, and then 2 from the equation, and then f of 4 again, we already figured that out from up above. That is still 4. And we'll just do some multiplication here, right? Let's do some quick math. We get k double prime of 4 is going to equal 4 squared is 16 times 2 gets us 32. And then on the other side here, we will get, it'll end up being negative from this negative in front right here. There's only one negative. So we get 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 times 2 is going to get us 72. And what we end up with out of here is k double prime of 4 is equal to negative 40. So in the end, we end up finding out that k double prime of 4 is equal to negative 40. And this tells us now that k of x, the original function, is concave down like a frown because k double prime of 4 is less than 0. And so out of here, we would have gotten 3 points on this. You would have gotten 1 point from putting together this second derivative, going through and following your chain rule with your product rule. And then from there, you would have gotten out 1 point for putting together the actual value of that second derivative. And then you'd have gotten 1 point for putting together that final answer as a sentence with your justification. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please click that like button and subscribe. And also share it with your friends and anyone else you know who might be crying about an upcoming AP Calc test. You can find more videos from me, more sample AP Calc questions, and my complete AP Calc study guide over at my website, apcalcprep.com. Have a great one.